Okay, we are going to start Daf Zayin Omid Beis, the bottom of the Omid. So today we're going to go through a lot of psukim. I see, Baruch Hashem, Julie, you have an art school, so today it's going to be really, really beneficial.
Brought it to me from last night. I had it home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you know what? I didn't want to buy a second one of this one. I
Right.
didn't want to buy a second of any of it. I have one stuck with one that has two.
Right. Okay, so it's perfect because today we're going to be doing a lot of psukim. So let's jump right into the Gemara Zayin Amud Beis. We're going to start with Rabbi Yehuda. Nesia Rama Deshura Derabanan. So that is going to be whoever. So I see everyone's using the art school. It's going to be 7b4.
Yeah, I know. How many lines from the
How many lines to the bottom? I would say 7. The first word, not the first word. 8 lines to the bottom. The second to the last word is Rabbi Yehuda Nesia. We all have it. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Nesia. He was a son and a Talmud of Rabbi Gamliel. And he said as follows. What would he do? He would Rama the Shura Derabanan. We learned yesterday that there's a wall that goes around the city. And everyone must chip in. As long as you live there for 12 months, you have to chip in. However, Rabbi Yehuda would make the Rabbanan also chip in for that wall. Amr Rish Lakish questioned Rabbi Yehuda and he said, what do you mean? Why are you charging them? Rabbanan leitzrichi nitiruso. The rabbis do not require this wall's protection, and therefore they should not be obligated to pay. Kadosh Baruch Hu watches over them. And where is he coming from? Dichsiv. It says in Tehillim, Esperain. Hashem saying, if I would count them, Michal Yerbun, if I would count them, they'll even be more, they would outnumber the grains of sand. So who is HaKadosh Baruch Hu referring to when he's saying, if I would count them? Esprim Laman. If we say we're talking about tzaddikim, then can that really be true? That there's so many tzaddikim in the world that they would outnumber the grains of sand? How could it be? Now, with respect to the entire Klal Yisrael, what do we say? Right? When we're talking about the bracha, I think by Yaakov, it says the Klal Yisrael is going to be so many people, we're going to outnumber the grains of the sand. So tzaddikim atzma mechol yirbun. Can we say that tzaddikim themselves, who only are a small part of Klal Yisrael, they themselves are going to be more than the grains of sand? That can be true. Eli hachi kama. Rather, this is what it's saying in the pasuk. Aspirain. If I would count the what? Limaseim shel tzaddikim. If I would count all the maisim tovim that tzaddikim do, then mechol yirbun. They will outnumber the grains of sand. And therefore, we want to make a kavachaymer. The kavachaymer that what? Umachol shemut. Madach, we know the grains of sand which are fewer than the mice of tzaddikim. Megan alayam. If we all go to the ocean, what's protecting the ocean? The beach sand, the sand shore, right? So madach over there protects the ocean. Masayim shel tzaddikim sheim merubim, which are much more than the sand. Like kol shekin shemaginim alayim. So Rish Lakish is showing us a kavachaymer that we see that the maisim of tzaddikim are more than enough to protect themselves from any harm. Rav Yosef wants to say from a different pasuk. He also commanded Rav Yochanan Amar Lei. When Rish Lakish approached him, he said a different pasuk. He said, "My time He questioned him. Why don't you say from a different pasuk in Shir Hashirim? It says in the beginning. It says actually deep in Shir Hashirim. Ani chayma v'shadai kimigdailos. I'm a wall v'shadai. And the breast is like towers. Now what? Ani chayma zutaira. This is the reference to Taima, that it's a wall. It's protecting the Taisha when the Klal Yisrael is learning. V'shadai kimigdailos. Now we're going to Chesam at Aleph. Elu tamidei chachamim. This is a reference to the tamidei chachamim who learn so much Torah and they enjoy it so much, just like a baby that's yainik mi'imai right when he's born. So clearly we've seen from the beginning of the pasuk of the words Ani Chayma. So Rish Lakish. So the question Rabbi Yochanan is saying, why didn't you Rish Lakish come from this pasuk in Shir Hashirim that says Ani Chayma? Why did you come from the pasuk of Esprei Michal Yirbu to make a kavachaymer? What do you rather, make a kavachaymer or have explicit pasuk? So Rabbi Yochanan was questioning Rish Lakish, why are you coming at that kavachaymer? I have a very explicit pasuk that says Ani Chayma. The Gemara answers Rish Lakish. Savala Kedaresh Rava. That what? Rish Lakish held like Rava. He understood that pasuk of Ani Chaima like Rava. The what? Ani Chaima is referring to Zukneses Israel. Is referring to the assembly of Klal Yisrael. V'shadakim Migdailais is not referring to Tamidei Chacham that are learning. Rather, Elu Bate Kanisasiyais Ubate Midrashiyais. Like in our place, when you go through our towns, there's beautiful shuls everywhere you go. Right? And today we have it a little more common that the Beis HaKnesses and the Beis HaMedrash is the same. However, if you go to certain Hasidic places, they're totally two different rooms, but Amal, they had totally two different buildings, one to daven and one to learn. So that's how they understood the Pasuk. Since he did not understand the Pasuk, Vani Chaima, like the way Rabbi Yochanan understood it, therefore he came on to a Pasuk of Esperei Michal Yerbun from a Kal V'Chaimer.
The other day, that's an experience in itself.
Yes.
Not just a separate, but
it's
many
separate, right? They have many separate rooms to daven and to learn.
But I got to tell you, it's something special.
Yes, hopefully we'll see you again on Sunday. Okay, Rav Nachman by Rav Chizda, Rama, Karga Dabanan. We're going to continue into more incidents where we see that the Rabbanan were taxed. So Rav Nachman, Rav Chizda, Rav Nachman, what did he do? There was an incident that he once imposed a head tax on karga. The karga means a head tax. What is a karga? So, karga means a tax. No matter how rich, how poor you are, we pay per head. Every single person has to pay a flat rate fee, not depending where you live, not depending on your financial status. So it's called a head tax because it's not relying on anything else. However, and he placed that tax on them. So Amalei Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak, he questioned. He said, "Avarta daraisa." Wow, he told him you have violated a pasuk in the Torah, a pasuk in Nevi'im, and a pasuk in Ksuvim. And now we're going to go through all these three psukim to show it. Ada Raisa, it says in the Torah, in Dvarim, Af Chayviv Amim, even as HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves the people, Kol Kedaisha, of all the holy ones, Biyadecha. Now what? Oh, my Moshe, this is how you explain the pasuk. Oh, my Moshe, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ribono Shel Olam. This is what Moshe is talking to Kaviyachol. He's talking to the Ribono Shel Olam. He's telling him, Afilu b'shah she'atem mechavev amim. Even at the time when you cherish Klal Yisrael, the peoples. However, Kol Kedaishav, which are the Gedolei Yisrael, Yeyu biyadcha. Basically, he's trying to say is even when we're talking about, even in the places where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to put it in other amim, still, that means to say is we find what today we're in Galus. Let's say today, unfortunately, we're in Galus. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes lets the other Amim control us, right? Even though we're in a Medina Shel Chesed, we're still have Galus. However, at the same time, Kol Kedaishav Yu B'Yadcha, which means to say is HaKadosh Baruch Hu still, the Kedaishim, which is the Tamidei Chachamim, are in his hands. He's basically saying, you are protecting them, even though the rest of Klal Yisrael is in Galus. So you clearly see that what? That even though that everyone else is not protected, regular Klal Yisrael and Galus, but the Ticham don't need a shmirah. They don't need to get taxed. And the second chiluk of the pasuk is v'heng tuku l'reglecha, and they sit at your feet. Tani Rav Yosef, who are the people that sit at your feet? It's elu tamidei chachamim shemechatesim ragleim meir leir. They trudge from city to city, Medina, from country to country, lil my Torah, to go study Torah, to learn under many Rabbeim, and like that, they can continue spreading Torah.
Is this the pasuk from Pirkei Avos?
No, this is a pasuk in the Torah.
I'm saying this is where it gets it from?
Yes, I think it gets it from this pasuk. Yisa, and then it continues the pasuk, Yisa mid dabaresecha. This is the end of the pasuk, where it says, receiving in your words. What's your words? Lisa v'litein b'dmirusav shel malkim. They debate the Torah, right? That's what it means, to handle, to give. Whenever you have a chavrusa shaf, he gives a surah, he answers a question back and forth. A debate. Okay. So that's how you clearly see in the Torah, Kol Kedaisha, which is Tamidei Chachamim, are protected. Ad Nevi Dechsiv. We also have it from a pasuk in Hoshea. It says over there, Gam ki yitnu v'agoyim, even when Klal Yisrael is going to ingredate themselves with the nations, Ata akapsim, I will gather them now. V'yecholu me'at mimasa melech v'sarim. They'll somewhat be humbled by the burdens of kings and officers. Even though we're basically saying that Certain times when we're in Galus, people think they're going to build, let's build close relationships with the Goyim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu still promises that when the time for Mashiach is going to come, it's going to come, even though we see, unfortunately, people think that let me build relationships with the Goyim like that, it's going to be a better off. However, the pasuk says they will still be somewhat humbled. So we clearly see So we're trying to say it's Amarula. Let's try to get the pasuk to shtimme with our sugya. Amarula pasuk zeb lashon haramis nama. Part of this pasuk means in lashon haramis. Tanu kuluv. All the Yidden study Taita and Galus at the kapse. Then I'll bring them back to Mashiach. Then I'll bring them now kilu to Eretz Yisrael. V'matem, then Yecholim imasa melchut sarim. Those Talmidei Chachamim are going to be released from the masa. Masa is a burden, putting something on you. Even though they have control over Klai Yisrael, but the Talmidei Chachamim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take them out of their control. So again, we clearly see that Talmidei Chachamim are not under their burden of taxes and anything else. That was the pasuk in Nevi'im. The pasuk in Ksuvim is it says in Ezra, Minda v'loi. We're talking about over here, we're talking about Esther and Achashverosh had a son. And he commanded over there that everyone in Eretz Yisrael has to pay taxes. No, sorry, the other way around. Let's see the pasuk. Minda v'loi. He said, he let out the ruling, he said it should be unlawful to impose upon them taxes and all the other stuff. Amar Rav Yehuda, Minda, what's Minda? Zuminas HaMelech. That is the king's portion. That's revenue from various taxes, like when we pay with duty-free tax, for everything else that gets taxed. Veloy, what is the taxes? Veloy zu kesegel gulta, that's the head tax. Halach zu arnaina. Arnaina is the annual. They gave a meiser, they gave a tenth of the produce and livestock to the government. However, he said that Talmidei Chachamim should not be taxed those three taxes. Head taxes, Arnaina is also lashon today, property tax, and so you call it Arnaina. But whether it's property tax, head tax, and regular citizen tax, he clearly said that you don't have to pay those taxes. Okay, this was Daryosh. He told Pachas that he doesn't have to pay those taxes. The Klai Yisrael, the Talmidei Chacham. Okay, now we're going to continue on more taxes. Rav Papa once imposed taxes on Yasmi, on Yisayim. Now there was a tax, they had to dig a new well, it cost a lot of money. Right? Every village needed to dig a well. Who had to pay for it? They all chipped in. Rav Papa. He questioned Rav Papa, how can you impose a tax on Yisayim? Which means to say is, every time you dig a well, there's a risk that you might hit a dead end. There's no water over there. However, still, that's part of the investment. You got to put money, and sometimes there's no water. So the question is, how can you take from Yisayim money if it's not going to for sure be used? So to explain, is that if Yisayim are going to for sure get hana from something, then you have a right to charge them. If, however, they don't get hana, then you have no right to charge them. So his question is, I understand you're going to tell me maybe in other scenarios where you want to charge them because they're getting hana. But the case of the well, they might not get hana. Amalei, so you know what he said? Mishkol shaklini minayu. I collect from them, but I put it in an escrow account. Midvil. If there's water, so they got hana, then we take the money. If, however, there's no water and it's a dead end, we return all the funds. Like that, it's takamutter. We collect from everyone to install doors, then close the city gates. Even from orphans, because they also need protection. The rabbis, they do not need human protection. They have the Ribbono Shel Olam. Another point is hakol, like we just said, lekariya pasya. However, afilim rabbanon. In the scenario where digging of the well, even rabbanon, because they also need to drink water. It's not a shmira. It's a reality. You need to drink. However, if Yudah qualifies his ruling and saying Veloya Maran, this is only said that they must contribute is when Ela Deloi Nafki Be'achluza, when the town people do not go out themselves and do what we call the dirty work. They don't get into, the jeans and everything and start getting on the ground. They hire a company. Avanafki Ba'achluza, if they themselves go out to do the work, that's such a thing called pasnish. Doesn't make sense for a Talmid Chacham, for a Chashav, a Talmid Rav. These were G'dayla Hadar. They get there, start sitting on their knees and getting dirty. Rabbanon lavnei meifak b'achluzaninu. They're not people that go out and do manual labor. It's a dishonor. It's not covered at Torah. Okay. Weiter. The Gemara is going to explain a Maisa that happened. Rabbi Pasach Eitzarois b'shnei betzaitis. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he opened up the storehouses of food to feed the poor when there was a famine going on. Amar, he said, Yikansu Balei Mikra. The only people that could come and eat is Balei Mikra, people that study the Torah. Balei Mishnah, Balei Gemara, Balei Halacha, Balei Haggadah. Aval Amei Haaretz, Al Yikansu, people that don't learn any Torah, they cannot come out. What was he concerned? He was worried that what? That he's not going to have enough food. It's not sustainable to give everybody. Therefore, he wanted to be that first, Talmidei Chacham should be able to eat completely. Dachak Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram. Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram, he was a Talmud of Rebbe, but he disguised himself as a regular pauper. V'nichnas, and he pushed himself way into this house. Amar Loi Rebbe, and he begged him, he said, Parnaseini, please feed me. Amar Loi Bini, he asked him, my son, Karisa, do you learn the Torah? Amar Loi Lav. Rabbi Yonasan answered back, no. Shanisa, do you at least learn, other sections, Mishnayos? Amar Loi Lav. In Cain, he tells him, on what merit should I give you to sustain you? I can't give these precious food that I have to give to Talmidei Chachamim to Sonus Haaretz. Amar Leis, he answered it back. Parnaseini kichelev u'chayirev. At least look at me like a dog or a raven. At least you have Rachmanis on animals. A cat comes over, you would feed it. Why am I worse than an animal? So he relented and he gave him Parnasei. However, immediately after giving it to him, he regretted it. Basa denafak, Yosef Rebbe Kamitztar, he was very upset by what happened. I should never give my precious bread to Amaretz. You have to remember, there was not enough food for all the Talmidei Chachamim. So he was so bothered by this. However, Rebbe's son really saw, he was very chayshish that this person was no Amaretz. It was really Rabbi Yonasan. So Amar Lefana Rav Shimon by Rebbe. Shema Yonasan ben Amram Tamidchu. Maybe it's really Yonasan ben Amram was your Talmud Shein and writes Lahanis Mekav at Torah. Miyamav. Therefore, he made believe he's a pauper. Badak va'ashkach. They looked into it, they investigated the matter, and they saw that it was really Yonasan ben Amram. Okay, however, Rabbi realized that other Talmidei Chachamim might do the same thing. Not want to take only, they're using up the merits of Talmidei Chachamim, so he said, Amar Rabbi Kansa call, everyone should come in and eat. Rabbi Litame, Rabbi was right. The Amar Rabbi, earlier, when he said that only Talmidei Chachamim eat, the Amar Rabbi ain't Piranhas Balailam El B'Shvil Ameyaretz. The only reason why today we have Piranhas, which means misfortune, is only because of Ameratzim. Okay. We are going to find this. Gahu, there's a Maisa that shows us this. Gahu de Mekalila, de Shadu at Tveria. There was a Maisa in Tveria. Tveria is in Eretz Yisrael in the north, right? And there they imposed a tax. They wanted to raise money, Kalila, for the crown of the king. Also, the Rabbi, they went in front of Rabbi. Go contribute with us. Why do you think you can get away with it? The Rabbanah said, we don't pay taxes. Have a wonderful day. Amrulais, to answer back, they tried threatening and they said, all right, Kinon, we're going to leave. We can't pay these taxes ourselves. It's so much money. We need you guys to split it. Also, Tveir was a makom. I think that there was a lot of Talmidei Chachamim over there at the time. So the rabbis then, and they don't go for threats. They said, no problem. You want to leave? Leave. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Subsequently, half of them fled. Hitako, the king, he heard about this incident. He slashed the taxes in half. The other half came. Rabbana, please pay along. I'm a little light. We're not paying. I reckon on. We're going to also leave. I reckon, no problem. Leave. Arku Kulu. They all left. Pasha hu kaivis. However, there was one kaivis. Person does the laundry over there. He stayed. Shadua kaivis. The governor put in all the taxes, the millions of dollars onto this kaivis. So Ara kaivis, he himself fled. Pakaka lila. Then king said he waived all the taxes. So what do we clearly see? The only reason why there was taxes is only because of the Amei Ratzim. The Talmidei Chacham don't have this issue with taxes. And Rabbi said, Amei Rabbi Re'isem She'ein Paranas B'Layla Mela B'Shila Me'aretz. Okay, this so far was beautiful. Maisim, we went through the taxes. Now we are going to go back into the Mishnahs. We're going to question certain aspects of the Mishnah, but we basically learned in the Mishnah, when is a kick in your fees to pay the wall of the city? As long as you live there for 12 months, we consider you a full citizen of the county, of the town. We said 12 months. We're on the 2 dots, Chesam and Aleph, and we're going to be starting 8a, page 4 in Art Scroll, the top. So we said 12 months. Urminuhu, Frekta Gemara, we have a brisa that says, Hachameres vehagamelis haiveres mimakim lemakim. So to clarify something, we're talking about an ir hanidachas. Ir hanidachas means that roiv b'nei ir, they end up doing nabuch. They all do avodah zarah. So what happens by ir hanidachas? 2 things. The people that did avodah zarah, they get killed with cherev. We slice, we behead them. And what do you do with the city and the property? It must be burned. That is the sugya of Ir Nidachas. So the Mishnah said, there's a brayso that says regarding Ir Nidachas, what happens? People that were just traveling through the Ir Nidachas. They took a lodging, they started settling down for a few days. And they also nabuch seduced and they did avodah zarah. The halacha is hein beskila umamaynan palat. In a chanami, they'll get killed, but not through cherev, rather with skila. And their property, palat, the lashon escape. We're not going to burn their property. However, the brisa continues and it says, v'im nishtahu sham shloishim yoyim. If they're there, however, for 30 days, hein b'saif umamaynan avad. That means they get the same practical halacha that any other person living in the city. And it's only if you're there for 30 days. So the question is, you have a brayso that talks about Ir Nidachas. It clearly says 30 days, you get the same punishment like everybody else. So how come in our Mishnah you need to have 12 months? That was the question. Something called residence, which gives you certain privileges. And then there's something even called deeper, a citizen. Just like the United States citizen, it's much more than the United States residents. You have more privileges, you can vote. You have much more power and everything. Kedetanya, like we find this distinction between a resident and a citizen. It says, a person says, there's a brayso that says, Hamoider hana me'anche. Person says, me'anche, the citizens. So kol shenishtai sham shnei masach chaydesh asalanis memani. Not allowed to know, because he's a citizen. Pachas mikan mutter, as long as not for 12 months. However, if he says a lashon hamoider nami yishveir, then kol shenishtai sham shloishim yoim asalanis memanu. Pachas mikan, less than 30 days mutter lanis memanu. So we're bringing a brayso clearly that shows us the distinction between a resident and a citizen. In order to become a citizen, you must live in a place for 12 months. A residence is 30 days. And so I think the United States has the same type of policies that in order to be a citizen, you must be here for many years. That type of concept. A test, right? They end up knowing much more than we all know, right? When they do the test. Okay, they know the Constitution. Most people don't. Okay. The Mishnah continues. Ulachol mili, is that really true? That you only come kicked in your obligations. Mi beinish nemas achaydish vatanya have a brayso that says, shloishim yaim, after 30 days, the collectors could obligate you to pay letamchui. Tamchui was the communal soup kitchen. You walk into Shiners, they have a beautiful soup kitchen. Samo, that every little village had a soup kitchen. Okay, shloishim chadashim. 3 months, after 3 months he resided, you have to pay lekupa. That was the, general tzedakah. Kupat air, right time chashabes. Every week they give out money. Shisha, luxus for the poor, for the clothing. Tesha, you have to pay lekvura for chesel shalemes. Shnei masar, and after 12 months, lefasei air, for the boards and the gates of the city. So the question is, we see very clearly that you kick in up communal obligations after 30 days, and our Mishnah sounds like only 12 months. Fan for the Gemara, our Mishnah, when it's talking about obligation, when it says we're only talking about the walls and the boards. Julie, we're about to start 885 in 1 minute. In less than, we're going to flip the page in a second. This is what we said earlier. Okay, we're on 885, top of the page. Amar Rav Papa le'shirura u'lefarsha u'letarzena, which means to say, which Gemara? Which Gemara do you have over here?
8-4 on the bottom.
8-4 on the bottom. I did. V'amar Rav Asi Rav Yechanan. Hako. This is just reiterating what we said earlier. That Hakol lefaseir, everyone must pay for the chayma. That's what we said earlier in the Amid already. That's why I went a little quicker. Even from Yisayim, because they need a shmira. Avar Rabbanan loy. They're Rabbanan loy tzrichin terusa. I skip anything? I did?
According to my...
What do you have? Yeah. What did I skip? Maybe I have a different Gemara than you.
Part at the bottom.
Where? Here?
Yeah.
That's Amar Avasi. Amar Aviyachana Kolafase Ir. That feeling me answer. Abana let's chicken to so Amar Papa. This is where I'm up to. Amar Papa. I'm in the right place. Amar Papa. We're up to Amar Papa. Do we have it? Amar Papa. It is 6 lines on the bottom. The 4 words before the 6 lines on the bottom. Amar Papa?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're up to. Amar Papa. Yeah? We're all in the same place?
Yeah.
Amar Papa. Lishura means the funds to repair the walls. Lulifashah, they used to hire, if you go to the southern border, you'll see horsemen. The border patrol on horsemen, they're on horses, right? They go, they patrol the border. Ule Tarniza, and also they had a weapon, they had a booth, security booth with weapons. Afilimi asked me, all those 3 stuff, even Yisai must pay because they need protection. Rabbanan do not need. Why? Like Tzrichin Itu, so they do not protection. Klolo, the Melser Puppets gives us a very simple guideline. Kal Misl the Islanami Ne Afilimi asked me. As long as by Yisaimim, as long as they get real hana from it, they have to pay. That's why they have to pay. That's why the water, we had a question, they might not have enough. But everywhere where they get hana, they must pay. Now the Gemara is going to report a related incident. Rabba Rama Tzedaka Yasmi Debe Bar Mirion. Bar Mirion was a very wealthy individual. But like everyone else in the world, he eventually passed on. And he left over a very big Yerusha to his kids. However, what did Rabba do? He made them pay money, taxes. Amalei Abaya, what do you mean? Vatani Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda taught us. Ein paiskin staka le'yisayim. We do not impose staka. We don't take money from yisayim. Afilu lepidyon shvuim, which we're going to see. Pidyon shvuim is the most grace mitzvah. So why in the world did you take taxes from them? Amalei, you know why I took them? I know lachashvunikav didn't. I made them prominent, right? We all see all the people, all the rich people on the boards of all the shuls and all the yeshivas. It makes them very powerful and chashuv. Without that, it would be much harder to raise tzedakah, right? So like that, we make them hagufu. We were able to elevate their status immediately. And now we're going to bring a ma'aseh that talks about pidyon shvuim, how it's the most chashuv a mitzvah. If for Hermes, he was the emperor, the mother of King Imei, he was the mother of the Shavar Malka, King Shavar. Shadra Anaka de Dinri, the mother one time sent a pouch of gold coins, 25, a lot of money, the committee of Rav Yosef, sent to the Rav Yosef, and she said, Amr, she told the shliach, tell him it should be lahav the mitzvah rabbah. It should be to the most chashuv mitzvah. Yosef Rav Yosef v'kamayim ba. My mitzvah rabbah. What is she referring to when she says the most grace of a mitzvah? Amar Abaya suggested, he said, Meditani Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yehuda, Ein Paiskin Stakal Isaimim Afil Opinion Shvuyim. Shmami, no, we're going to flip the page onto Chesam and Beis, the Pidim Shvuyim Mitzvah Rabbahi, which means to say is that you see from Yisaimim, the Chiddush is that you can't take. Even for Pinyan Shul, it's mashma, the Pinyan Shul is the most chashuv mitzvah. So therefore, Abaye advised Rav Yosef, you should use that money for Pinyan Shul. And now the Gemara is going to explain how we know that Pinyan Shul is the most chashuv mitzvah. Amalei Rabba Rabba Bamari. Minaha Melsa Damar Rabbanan. The Pinyan Shvuyim Mitzvah Rabbi. How do we know that it's such a chashuv mitzvah? So Rabbi Mamari is going to bring a pasuk. Amalei Dechsev. It says in Yirmiyah, Kadosh Baruch Hu is telling the Navi Yirmiyah how to respond when people ask him what is going to be in the future of Galus. V'haya ki yaimurei lecha, and it be when they say to you, Anon Neitzei, when are we going to get Mashiach? V'amarta aleim, you should say to them, Koyam Hashem, this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom said. Asher lamaves, the people destined to die are going to die. V'asher lacherev, people are going to die by sword, will die by the sword. V'asher lerav, hunger, they're going to die by hunger, the people that are destined to die. V'asher lashavi, and those people, they're going to end up in capture. Rahman al-Islam, we know a little too much about it from this year. They're going to end up being a shavi, being captured. Gets worse and worse. In the beginning, it was just misa. Then it was cherev. Then it was hunger. And then, Rahman al-Islam, it was a shavi. So let's establish how it goes. Cherev, kashmi mavis. Cherev is worse than dying. Iba say mekra. The Iba say Misvara. First going to bring a pasuk, and then first going to bring a pasuk, and then we're going to say Svara. Iba say Misvara. If you want to say the Svara is Hakaminvo. It's very not pleasant for the body to see beheading, right? ISIS, they were doing the like a minvo. Someone who dies naturally. It's very nice. He dies. It's time to move on. The Iba say Makra. It says in the pasuk Yakar be'ene Hashem. Hamavsel Chasidav, which we're going to see at the end of Ashutim, the last Amud. We're going to see how Moshe Rabbeinu died. Miriam died. They died with Nashika. That's the best way to die. Ra'av is Kashmi Charif. Iba say Misvara. Why? Let's come on to Svara. Haikra Mitzvah. Person who dies, a very lengthy process to die in hunger. It takes very long. The Haikra Mitzvah, it's very quick. The heading is 1, 2, 3, and they're not feeling anything. Iba say Mikra. Another point we see is in the pasuk. It says, Toivim hayu chalei charif. It's a pasuk in Eicha. More fortunate were the people that died from the sword, michalei rav, and the people that died from famine. What do you say?
I say, oh, wow.
Yeah.
The judge one.
Not easy. Shavi kashi mikulam, the kulu isnebe. Right? Like we know way too unfortunately that they have hunger. And then they beheaded them and they do kafarlacha stuff to them. But they go through so much torture, whether it's mentally, psychology, hunger, physically. What they go through, Rahman al-Islam in Shevi.
I came back from the job on Shabbos one day. I see a friend of mine sitting on his porch. He just lost his mother. And had to sit Shiva on Shabbos.
Right.
And I went to him and his mother died after about 2-3 days. Quick. I said, you don't know how lucky you are. When you tell me this, I just lost my mother. I don't know. I said, let me explain. I'm an only child. Father was Parkinson for 7-8 years.
Wow.
Every day you think it can't get worse than it does.
Wow.
And my mother had a hip replacement. She had a heart attack and pulmonary emboli in the recovery room. I had to put her in a nursing home for 7 years.
Wow.
And I visited her almost every day because my school was within 15 minutes of her. So was able, and I had a woman who watched it, so she brought it down so I could see her quickly. I said that people don't have to suffer.
That's what we're learning right now. Death is quick is the best.
So I told him that, and every time he would mention something to me. Last year, I went to say, and I was by my daughter for sukkah, and he invited me. He had Joseph for his mother on birthday Illinois, and he invited me, and I had Joseph for my mother's second day sukkahs. So what happened? He gets up to speak before his grandson gave the shir, and he tells the whole story, and then he said, Julie was right.
Oh, wow.
So that means one thing. When his father died, he must probably suffer.
Okay. Let's see. Let's jump right into this because we have a long moment to go. Tana Rabbanan. Kupo shel tzedakah. Now we're going to discuss the many rules of collecting tzedakah, the halachas. We are Tanu Rabbanan. I would say there's two dots. If you look into the regular Gemara, we have two dots. It's in Art Scroll, it's 8b1 towards the bottom of the page on Art Scroll. So you'd find it like towards the last paragraph. We're going to be discussing the many halachas till the end of the Amud about collecting money, how you collect money. Tanu Rabbanan, Kupa shel tzedakah, nigbis b'shnayim. When we collect money, we want two people to be there. And
Keep it honest.
keep it honest, right? Umischalekes b'shleisha, because we want it to be like a bezdin, because it's not simple. Who gets money, who doesn't. Nigbis mishnayim, like we're saying, cheinais and shroars al tzibur pachas mishnayim.
Says two people, now it says three people.
When we collect the money, it's two, and the Gemara explains. You stop the middle, Jew. Let's see why. Nigbis mishnayim, why cheinais and shroars al tzibur pachas mishnayim. Whenever you collect, we want to keep it honest. You need two people. Just like when a person comes over to you and he wants money, you have a bezin. Same thing over here. It takes three people to decide, does family A deserve this money? And even if they deserve how much money? With Tamchoy, we're going to continue. 8b2 in Art Scroll. Tamchoy nigbis b'shleisha. Food for the communal platter, like we said earlier, for the soup kitchen, b'shleisha mischalekes b'shleisha. Why? Shegibuya v'chiluka shavin. Means to say as follows. Theoretically, you're right. To collect the money, you only need two. So why suddenly by the soup kitchen you need three? The answer is because the turnaround time of collecting the money and distributing the money is so quick. If the halacha would be you need two people to collect and three people to give out. What's going to happen is you have two people, you go collect the money, and then we're like, oh, where's Yankel? We have to go call Yankel to get to come by so we could give out the money. However, right, then it could take time and it could schleppy and he's not feeling well, etc. If, however, you have three people collecting the money, even though the one is really an extra, you can immediately, without any issues, give out the money, right? You collect it and give it. That's why we have three.
But it doesn't say that. It says collecting by two.
No, but it says, Tamchui nigbis b'shleisha. And the question is why? We just said a moment ago, earlier, regarding other stuff, the kupa shel tzedakah is nigbis b'shnayim. The answer is, the Gemara answers this. Shegibuya v'chiluka shavin means to say it's the same time. And we want a quick turnaround time. We don't want any hiccups along the way. Let's continue. Tamchui b'chol yain. Food from the communal platter was given out every day. That's what we just said. It's a quick turnaround time. Kupa is only once a week. It's like Timcha Shabbos. Me'er Shabbos, Le'er Shabbos. Tamchui was Laniya Nailam. Anybody that's poor. But Kupa, the Timcha Shabbos was Laniya Ir. We only give it for the people that are living there. They get weekly stipends. However, the Gemara says, the Brisa continues, the Rashayim B'nei Ir, the officials or whoever had the authority, the board members, Lasses Kupa Tamchi V'Tamcha Kupa. They were able to flip the funds if whatever was needed. Let's say for whatever reason there was more of a crisis in one area, they're able to maneuver around the funds. Because the understanding is that when you give money to tzedakah, you're relying on the people running it, that they're going to do the right thing for the klal. And the Gemara continues, Rashayim b'nei Ir lahasnes alamidas, and the city officials, Amal, they used to have a vad. If you go to Lakewood, something called the Lakewood vad. They have
What they call the officials Rashayim.
Rasha'in, not Rasha'im.
Yeah,
It's a play on words you're telling me.
I know, it looks like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Rasha'in, they're lahasnes alamidas. Okay, and they're allowed to Rashayin, they're allowed to. They're authorized. Yeah, you're right. Authority and Rashayin and Rashayin are very similar words. Okay. So they're allowed to agree, they're allowed to specify, they're allowed to make halachas regarding the measures. And to make prices, to make caps, to make prevailing wages. They get to decide a lot of stuff. Not only that, whoever's over them, they're allowed to make it. Then you get a knas. Let's continue. We don't do anything for the public because we want it to be transparency, we want honesty. Less than 2 people. Immediately, where do we know this from? Amar Nachman, Amar Kral, there's a pasuk, it says, Veheim, we're talking about the Beis HaMikdash. Yichus Azav V'chut V'goymer, where it talks about collecting money for the Beis HaMikdash, is a lashon plural. Veheim, and they is at least 2 people. So you clearly see that when it comes to money, you need 2 people in order to be transparency. However, the Gemara says, really regarding trust, we trust a person. However, regarding authority, we never want it to be that one person could decide. What's the nafkamina? Nafkamina is if you have 2 brothers. 2 brothers are not kol shaleidas. So if it's about trust, that's an issue because they're 2 brothers. But if it's about authority, that makes sense. How could he put 2 brothers? Elamai, that we do trust them. However, regarding administrative and authority, we do it, we need to have 2 people. So it does sound that we were working along the whole Amud that it's about trust. It's not so much it's about trust. It's about making decisions. Sometimes you need 2 people to bounce back and forth, to see if it makes sense. Okay. Now we're going to continue. My Shirarusa, what element of authority are we talking about that's collecting donations talk about? Everyone has to give money. What authority do they have? We're in 8b3 now. The collectors were authorized to take out a mashkin. They would seize the pledge. Someone didn't pay, even Erev Shabbos. So that takes a lot of authority. You have to walk over and take it away from him. In fact, is that really true that we take a mashkin? Eini v'aksiv. It says regarding Pasuk in Yirmiyah, where it talks about that Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to punish all the nations that oppress the Jewish people. V'aksiv ufakatiti, and I'll visit I'll visit the evil upon all the oppressors. And Kadosh Baruch Hu is even going to go for the Gabayim. Why? Because they were oppressed people that weren't giving. So you clearly see that they were punished for taking, pleasures out of people. Mara says, like Damid, when is Reb Nachman talking about that you're allowed to take pleasures and you're allowed to go seize it when they were very wealthy? The laws of Reb Yitzchak is talking about when they were not rich. So when you're taking money out of them, you're oppressing them. Kiyad Rava, like we see in Rava, that what? Achbe le Rav Nasim Barami. He forced Rav Nasim Barami, who was very wealthy. And he took from him 400, a very large sum of money. And the answer, he was able to do it because he was very wealthy. Okay, now we're going to continue with Psukim. The Gemara is going to talk about how precious and how chashuv it is, these Gabay Tzedakah. V'hamaskilim, says in Daniel, V'hamaskilim yizaru kezaya harakia v'goymer, and the wise will shine like the radiance of the rakia of the Shemayim. Right? There's above the chayas. It's we say it really by Kaddish, by Fanim Chayas HaKodesh. But these are more halaga stuff for us to understand, but it was very, very light. And it says, V'hamaskilim yizar kezar rakia, who is there? Is it Dayan Shadon? In Emes Lamita, it's talking about a Dayan. Someone who's honest. Such a person is going to have a radiance. And the Gemara expounds on Matzdikei Harabim, and those who make many righteous Kechavim La'olam V'ed will shine like the stars forever, forever. Who is that referring to? Elu Gabay Tzedakah, that they're always going to shine. That what? Just like, so the Marsha is a wonderful Marsha, the art scroll note 38 brings down, just like stars. Stars are theoretically, they don't move. If you look up, their stars are there, we just can't see them. When do they shine? They shine when everything is dark. They shine light when everything else is dark to show us that what they get stuck on quietly during the day. It's a beautiful marsha. Let's read it inside. Note 38. Just as the stars exert the influence both day and night, but illuminate only at night, so too the charity collectors are solicitous of the needs of the poor both day and night, but shine forth only at night. They distribute the stock at night discreetly, so as not to embarrass the recipient. Beautiful, beautiful marsha. And it continues, Matstika harabim kaikachavim loilam va'et. Elu melamde tinaikis. These are the people that are Talmidei Chacham, the Rabbeim. Kegoin man, who is a teacher, Marav Kegoin Shmuel Bashilas, who is extremely dedicated to his Talmidim. The Gemara is going to relate an incident that shows us of Shmuel's extraordinary dedication. The Rav, one time, Rav was walking, he found Ashkelon of Shmuel Bashilas to have a koyi beginsa. He was standing in his garden. Amalei shavakte lemenusach. Have you abandoned your Talmidim? He was wondering why he's alone in the garden. Amalei ha. It's been 13 years that I have not seen this garden. The hashta nami daitala. Even now, while I'm going back to my garden, I'm still thinking about my Talmidim. Okay, Rabbanan. What does it say about the Rabbanan? Amar Avina. It says in the pasuk. In Shaiftim v'Hayava Kitzeis Hashemesh b'Gvurasav. That though the V'Hayavav Kitzeis Hashemesh b'Gvurasav, like when the sun is the most light, that's the light of a Talmid Chacham. They are the most. The Gemara is going to say Tanur Rabbanan Gaboy Tzedakah Einon Reshayin Lifrosh Zeh Mizeh. They're not allowed to separate from one and from another while collecting, because someone should be suspect them of stealing. Aval Pirish, there, one's allowed to go to the gate, to the store, as long as they're in the same vicinity, everyone sees them walking around together. Like, that's not an issue. And another ruling would be, you find money. Don't put it in your pocket, because what's going to happen is someone sees, he doesn't see you pick it up, he just sees you take money and put it in your pocket. Right? Nice, and what do? Is you put it in the pushka. When you reach in, when you go to your house, you take it out. Another thing is, person comes over, he owes him $100, and he wants to pay him change. Sorry, he doesn't even want change. Don't take the money that person gave you, because someone from far doesn't know that he owes you the money. He thinks it's with tzedakah. When you get the house, you have to lay. Same type of thing. We're almost done. One more point. What you do is, right, they're left with the surplus. You should exchange the copper coins, okay? Because the copper coins, the prutas, they get moldy. So you have to exchange them into other coins, the silver, which will last longer. However, you don't change them for yourself. Exchange them. Because people think, you're taking the better rate. Same thing. What do you do with that? You sell, that's food. Food is going to get spoiled. So you sell the food and you hold on to the proceeds. When they don't sell them, they sell for the same reason. When you count funds and money, you don't do two. One by one, like that. We make sure, like that, everyone sees you're very honest with your money. Everyone should have a wonderful day.